Hi, this is Joel Johnson. Welcome again to our Johnson Brunetti YouTube channel. Before we get going here today, make sure you subscribe to our channel and click on the little bell icon. That way you could get notified when we come out with new valuable content. Well, today we are going to talk about financial planning. We're actually going to talk about maximizing your retirement income. And when we talk about financial planning, people have so many different ideas of what that is. Some people think it's this giant binder with 200 pages that's going to show you your cash flow on every category of your life for the rest of your life. And other people just want something really simple. Maybe it's 3 or 4 pages that shows, hey, are they going to have enough income? Are they going to run out of money? And so financial planning or a financial plan can run the gamut of a whole bunch of different areas. Now, if somebody is really sophisticated, sometimes they want that really detailed financial plan. Ironically, many times these sophisticated people don't need the detail. They should learn to think in big picture. Again, some people want an oversimplified plan, and they've at least got to have something that builds out retirement income and so on. So let's talk about the importance, or what is a financial plan? What should it show you? A financial plan should show you how much you need to save for retirement, and it should show your cash flow in retirement based on how much you are willing to save. So it's really, think of it as a cash flow plan. The most important part of a financial plan is the cash flow plan, because you know what, if you don't have enough income to live on, it doesn't matter about saving in taxes. It doesn't matter whether you have a good estate plan in place. It doesn't matter if you own a home or rent a home. None of that matters if you don't have enough income. So we've got to go for that most basic need first, which is having enough income. Many people do a financial plan when they're younger, and they build on it as they go through life. So maybe somebody does it in their 40s, and they're building and making adjustments as they go through life. But a lot of folks that we talk to here at Johnson Brunetti, for the first time, they're doing a detailed plan at about age 60 years old, maybe 2 or 3 years before they're about to retire, and they want that financial plan that's basically a sophisticated retirement plan. So it depends on where you're at. But again, start with that income. Start with that income projection on, if I'm no longer working, how much income am I going to have? And if I am working, what do I need to save to produce that income? A financial plan also covers things like estate taxes. Do you care about what you pass on at death? Do you understand taxation? It'll cover income taxes. It will cover any kind of emergency needs that you have. You should have an emergency fund. It would cover maybe what we call a sinking fund, or call it a separate fund for maybe buying a second home or doing something special. So financial plans can be really, really detailed, but what I want you to take away from this short discussion we're having right now is the financial plan needs to address your future income needs, and it should be something that fits you, and you need to work with a financial advisor that you feel really gets you, because I can't tell you how many times we've had somebody come into our office. They've been working with a financial advisor for a number of years from a different firm. They walk in with this big, thick binder. It literally looks like, you know, it's in one of those fancy leather binders with 200 pages in it, and they don't even know what to do because it's completely overwhelming. So you should have a financial plan that gives you just some basic steps. Maybe it's 1 through 7 steps on how to organize your financial life, with the foundation of how much income will I have in retirement, and what rate of return do I need on my retirement income so that I will be okay. So that's the basic of a financial plan. What other things to maximize our retirement income? Create a bucket list. And if you haven't done a financial plan yet, or if you're going to redo one, I want you to start with sort of this dream list. Forget about money, because if you can leave money off to the side and forget about money for a minute, it will help you be much more creative with your retirement planning. And what you want to do is just go somewhere and write. And when I say write, I mean write with a pencil and paper, not type, but write. And write out all the things that, in an ideal world, if money didn't matter, if you had all the money that you needed, what would you want to do in retirement? Perhaps it's travel, perhaps it's a number of different things, but just what is that bucket list? What is that dream list? And it could have to do with, you know, you're traveling, extra expenses for travel. It could have to do with extra expenses to give back, to do charitable work. Maybe it's things like supporting other people. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's just done an amazing job of serving a bunch of people throughout his life, and he's getting about 10 years from retirement, and I'm thinking, there's no way he's prepared for retirement, but he's lived this wonderful full life, giving himself, pouring himself to out to other people and serving them. He's had an effect on my kids in an amazing way. as they were growing up, just been a real mentor to them. Wouldn't it be neat if I could create a fund, maybe anonymously so he didn't know where it was coming from, that would give him $5,000 a month in retirement? That'd be a great thing. And so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. What is that bucket list? What are those things that you can add? What are those extra expenses that you would love to do? And then again, going back to the financial plan or maximizing your retirement income, we can build that into a plan. It's just a dream list. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It's just, if I could do anything I want to, what would I like to do? And then back into that financial plan that way, as opposed to approaching things or approaching retirement in a way where you've already limited yourself, you've already limited your options because you're thinking about money right away. Again, we want retirement to be something where you enjoy retirement, you do all the things that you care about, you're exercising your values or exhibiting your values in life, and money is just a tool. And that's the ideal situation. So create that bucket list. Think about those extra travel expenses or extra expenses. They could be travel, like I said. They could be showering money on your kids. They could be hobbies. They could be doing all kinds of things that are important to you, whether it's golf or sailing or traveling, exploring, climbing mountains. Maybe you want to climb Everest. I don't advise that, especially if you're in your 60s, but maybe you want to do that. It could be a number of different things. So you want to write down, again, that dream list and figure out what are those extra expenses I need. It's important, and probably I'm speaking here to people that are in their 40s and 50s, that you understand the difference between spending and savings, okay? And savings, and here's what I tell my kids, and this is what we tell our clients, save 15% of your income. So if you're younger, figure out a way to save 15% of your income. If you have an employer that has a 401k and they're putting in 3 or 4%, you're already 3 and 4% ahead of the game. But figure out a way, some way to save 15%. And a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, I've got all these things going on in life right now. Why don't I do that in 5 years? The 5 years will never come. Bite the bullet. Here's what we've seen with most people. They go to save 15%, and all of a sudden, it hurts for about 6 months, and then they don't really feel it. They get used to it, and it becomes automatic. So that's the savings part. The spending part is, and here's what I meant when I put that down on the board, is the spending is we're spending in retirement, right? So you've got this fundamental shift that goes from when we're saving money for retirement, and that's the hardest thing to do, to when we're spending money. And believe it or not, that's sometimes hard for people. We have clients all the time that have been great savers throughout their lives. They're so used to saving and sacrificing that they get to retirement, they've got more money than they'll ever need for retirement, and they can't make the switch to start spending some of the money. They're just as frugal, some would say cheap, as they were when they were saving the money. So you've got to make this shift between saving money and spending money in retirement. So let's just recap that little section there. When you're younger, save 10 to 15% of your income. Ideally, it's 15%. That employer match, if you work for a company, gets you to a certain level there automatically. You want to do it, let's like ripping the Band-Aid off. Just go ahead and do it. Hit that level. It's going to hurt for a little while, but then you won't notice the money gone. Then when you get to retirement, you've got to do a mindset shift. My grandparents, my grandfather immigrated over here. He came over on a boat when he was 16 from Norway and met my grandma, who had grown up on a farm up in Wisconsin. And they just saved all their life. And that generation, they were probably born in like the early 1900s, that generation was all about how can I create a better life for my kids and my grandkids. And they got to retirement and they wouldn't spend any money. They wouldn't take a trip. They wouldn't, I remember them driving. We traveled with them from California, where we were living at the time. I was a little kid at the time. We went back to Minnesota. This is in the middle of the summertime. We're driving through the Arizona desert. They won't turn on the air conditioning in the car because they didn't want to waste the extra gas, okay? And yet they had more money than they ever needed. So it's really hard sometimes to make that shift between saving and spending. But you want to make sure, again, if we're going to maximize our retirement income, you've got to get out of the mode sometimes and spend some money on yourself. How about this one? Should you sell your home and rent? Now, I just talked about my grandparents a minute ago. If I would have told them in retirement that they should rent and not own, they couldn't have even grasped that concept. And yet more and more these days, we see people analyzing what it costs them to own their home in retirement, all the expenses that they have, the taxes and so on, and they go, gee, if I just sold my home, I would have this pile of money. I can invest that pile of money, and my annual expenses paying rent would be about the same as I'm paying just to upkeep my house, but yet I have this pile of money, and I can close the door, lock the door, go on vacation, come back, not have to worry about it, go to Florida in the wintertime, come back up to the Northeast. I don't have to worry about pipes breaking or anything like that because it's somebody else's problem. So that's a question that you should ask yourself. Be open-minded to asking that. I know when I tell you, some of you, that maybe you should think about selling your home, that's blasphemy to you. You can't even imagine doing that. That's okay if that's how you feel. My parents felt the same way. They would never want to rent anywhere. But I can tell you that if you really put pen to paper and you figure out what it's costing you to own your home, some of you would consider selling your home and renting, and maybe even it frees you up to do some other things. Timing of retirement is important. We go back to our financial plan. What are we talking about here? Remember, the premises of our segment today is how do we maximize retirement income. Sometimes one of the ways to maximize retirement income is maybe just working one extra year. I'm not advocating that you work one extra year. It depends on your situation. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. Some people actually have decided to retire early to maximize their retirement lifestyle, especially after COVID. People have sort of done this reset of how they approach work in their lives. So timing, should you work an extra year or two? Should you retire an extra year or two to have more time when you're younger and healthier? But that's an important factor and an important question to ask when you're talking about maximizing your retirement income or your retirement lifestyle. And then health. It's amazing that we have some clients that are in their 60s or in better health than they were in their 40s. I forget that old saying, when you're younger, you trade your health for money, and then when you're older, you would do anything to trade your money for your health back. And so we don't want to make that mistake as we're getting towards retirement. We want to make sure we stay healthy. But the great thing about maximizing retirement income, and if you've done a good job saving money, now you're spending money, you can get involved in some of these concierge medical services, or you can go to Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic and go through this amazing executive nutrition and physical program that is actually a little bit less money than you'd think it is, and get top tier health care and so on. So that could also be part of maximizing your retirement. In order to do that, again, we want to maximize retirement income. And I have a book that's available to every one of you. It's on our website. It's called Maximizing Retirement Income, or Maximizing Your Retirement Income. There's all kinds of other resources available on the Johnson Brunetti website. So again, just to recap our segment today, maximizing retirement income. There's a lot of components to it, but we want to make sure we've got the right financial plan, not too complex, not too simple, just sort of right in between. We want to write up that dream list so we can create a retirement and forget about money for a minute and make sure that, hey, maybe we can achieve that dream retirement. But you'll never create the dream retirement if you're locked into how much money can I really spend. You do the retirement dream first and then see if you have the money or if you can figure out a way to make the money pay for it. Understanding the difference that when you go to retirement, you make this fundamental shift between saving money and spending money. And some people have a real hard time making that shift. Where should you live? Should you sell your home? Should you rent? Should you change from a home to a condo? What's that timing of retirement? And then, and maybe this should have been earlier on the list, but health. Health is so important. So appreciate you being with us today. We've got all kinds of other segments here on the Johnson Brunetti YouTube channel. Make sure you click to subscribe, and also check that little bell. Click on that little bell, and you'll get informed anytime we upload new content. I'm Joel Johnson, Certified Financial Planner. Thanks for being with us today.